I thought healing would feel different. It's interesting. A couple weeks ago, I was standing in my little place on the Cape, and I had spent almost 2 weeks there. I wasn't exactly on vacation. I had a long list of projects that I had been putting off. Actually, I didn't put them off too long. It's a lot of painting, organizing, repairing, replacing. And every day I woke up with another list, another project, another trip to the hardware store. I can't tell you how many times I went to the hardware store in Home Depot. So by the end of those 2 weeks, I was tired, but in the best kind of way. I stood there looking around and I thought, I did it. Everything was finished. I still have one little project left. The walls looked beautiful. All the wood that I repainted looked beautiful. The rooms felt lighter. Everything had its place. There was this quiet sense of accomplishment. And then something happened that completely caught me off guard. I felt lonely, not overwhelmed, not depressed, not like something was wrong, just lonely. And I'll be honest with you, I didn't expect that. I actually laughed a little because I thought, really? After all this, somewhere inside me, without even realizing it, I think I had been carrying this quiet expectation that once everything was done, I'd arrive. That finishing the projects would somehow create feelings of complete peace, as if checking things off the list could finally make life feel complete. But life doesn't really work that way. I've been doing healing work for more than 25 years. I've worked with people through grief, trauma, illness, loss, divorce, life transitions. I've watched transformations happen. And if there's one thing that those years have taught me, it's this: healing doesn't remove our humanity. Somehow, I think many of us have been sold this idea that healing means that you eventually become this peaceful person who no longer struggles. You never feel lonely. You never question yourself. You never have difficult days. Everything flows effortlessly. I may have believed that in the beginning, but I don't believe that that's what healing is anymore. In fact, I think that belief can become another way that we judge ourselves. Because then the moment sadness returns, we think that we failed. If anxiety shows up again, we think that we've gone backwards. If loneliness visits, we wonder what we missed. I've had clients tell me I thought I was past this. And I understand why they feel that way. I used to think that too. As I sat there that afternoon, I realized something. The loneliness wasn't the problem. The loneliness was simply there. And what had changed over the years wasn't that I never experienced difficult emotions. What had changed was how I met them. So years ago, I probably would have started fixing. Maybe I'd call someone, turn on the television, find another project, keep myself busy, anything to move away from that feeling. Instead, I made myself a cup of coffee. I sat outside. I looked around. I listened to the birds. Actually, I went to the lake at 7 o'clock in the morning, 2 lakes. I was the only one there, and it was the most peaceful feeling in the world. Not to mention that it was extremely hot out and the water was beautiful. And as I simply let myself be there, no judgment, no urgency, no trying to make the feeling disappear, just curiosity. And somewhere in that quiet, I realized something that surprised me. The loneliness wasn't asking me to solve it. It was asking me to acknowledge it. And there's a difference. See, as I've gotten older, I've noticed something else. life naturally changes. Our kids grow up. Our parents get older. Some of the people that we love leave this world. Friends become busy with their own families. Retirement changes routines. Even the happiest seasons of life can become quieter than we imagined. And nobody really prepares us for that. We're taught how to build a career, how to raise a family, how to achieve goals. But very few people talk about what happens when the house is quiet, when the projects are finished, when you've created a beautiful life and you still discover that being human includes moments of longing. I don't think that's failure. I think it's part of loving deeply. You know, my grandmother used to say something that I didn't fully understand when I was younger. She believed that her family would always be gathered around her. And my mother felt something similar later on in life as well. At the time, I understood it with my mind, and now I understand it with my heart. Life moves, people grow, families change, love remains. But our roles change, and sometimes that change feels tender. The beautiful thing is, I don't run from that tenderness anymore because I've learned that tenderness isn't weakness, it's evidence that my heart is still open. And one of the greatest misunderstandings about healing is that we think that the goal is to stop feeling. And I don't believe that anymore. I think the goal is to stop abandoning ourselves when we feel. There's a world of difference. Healing didn't make me immune to loneliness. Healing allowed me to sit beside it without believing something was wrong with me. Healing didn't erase grief. It gave me the capacity to carry it with love instead of fear. Healing didn't remove uncertainty. It taught me that I could still trust myself while walking through it. And that's a very different way to live. If you're watching this today because you've done so much work on yourself, because you've read the books, you've gone to therapy, you've done the meditation, you've tried to become the best version of yourself, and yet every once in a while you still feel sadness or loneliness or fear, I hope you'll hear this from someone who has spent decades both healing myself and walking alongside others. You're not failing, you're living. And there is a profound difference. As I left the Cape last week, I looked back at the little place that's become so meaningful to me, and I smiled, not because I had reached some finish line, but because I realized something. The piece I was looking for wasn't waiting for me at the end of the project list. It was waiting for me the moment I stopped expecting life to stop being life. And that may be one of the greatest gifts healing has ever given me. Not a perfect life, not a painless life, just the ability to remain present inside of life, the life that I've been given. So I want to thank you for spending time with me today. This was a little different than the videos I usually make. And it was a little more personal. And maybe that's because I'm learning too. I'm learning that sometimes the most meaningful lessons don't come from teaching. They come from simply sharing. I'll see you next time. And I'm still learning that peace isn't the absence of loneliness. Maybe it's the willingness to stay present when loneliness visits. That's what I'm reflecting on this week. I'd love to know what life has been teaching you. If we haven't met yet, my name is Tina Brigitini. Welcome to my channel.